It's April 2nd, and behind me, the Hudson River in New York City, a couple miles south. I think we're up to close to 100,000 people that have this thing in New York alone right now. And I'm reminded of the story of Job. I've read it a few times now. I remember years ago, I have a good friend who's a monk, and he convinced me to read it. He said, "You remind me a little bit of Job." So I read it, and I thought, I don't understand anything I just read. He said, read it again, read it a little bit slower. And I did, and I started to get the story. It's in the beginning, it's not that complicated, really. Job's got everything going for him. And then he loses everything. His 10 kids are killed in a natural disaster, essentially. He loses all of his business, his livelihood. He loses his health. And eventually he starts to lose his faith in God. He has these conversations with 3 friends. And the 3 friends keep talking about God, about what God should do and shouldn't do, and how God operates. And Job, throughout the story, keeps coming back to talking with God instead of about God. And then eventually, there's this great line that says Job was quiet, and then God spoke. How often are you quiet to listen to God speaking? Well, God didn't say, "Hey, let me explain." God said to Job, "Where were you when I created all of this? When I decided how the size of the planets and how they would, where the tide would go, and how animals would give birth, and how eagles would fly? Where were you? Where were you?" And essentially he's saying to Job, maybe you don't quite understand the whole story. Maybe the story's bigger, more important, more meaningful than you realize.